Everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the DaVinci Resolve tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 9, where I'll be showing you guys about the inspector panel. Okay, so how you will be able to work into your inspector panel, how you will be able to change the values present over there. So we'll be learning about all these things over here into this particular class. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see that right now I am here in the edit page of DaVinci Resolve. Okay. So let's first come over here and let's import this video over into my timeline. Okay. So let's just come here. Let's just place it right over here. Okay. And as you guys can see that I do have my video right over here. Okay. So the thing what we are going to learn is about the inspector panel. Okay. So most of the times when we work over here in our software, we'll be using the inspector panel because there only we will be able to manipulate all of our values. Okay. So if you do want to do it from the screen itself, you guys can do that. As you guys can see here, also you do have the transform, the crop, the dynamic zoom. Okay, so all these options are also available over here into the inspector panel. So first we have seen about the metadata where you guys will be able to see all the information regarding your video. Okay, as you guys can see, if you do want to see it more, you guys can come here and you guys can drag and drop it over here. If you do want to see more information about your video, you guys can come here and view that as well. Let me close the metadata over here. And now I want to have a single viewer mode and let me on my inspector panel. Okay, so once you open your inspector panel, you guys can see that as this one is only a video, I do have the transform option, the smart reframing, the cropping, the dynamic zoom, the composition, if you do want to change up the speed of the video, and if you do have an unstable video, you guys can actually come here and basically work with this particular footage. Okay, so now let's come here and let's try to understand the concept over here. Okay, so let's first see about the transform option. Okay, so let's say you want to zoom in, or if you do have used any other video editing software in the past, like Adobe Premiere Pro, there they call it scaling. Okay, so scaling means if you do want to decrease the size of the frame, you guys can come here and decrease the size of the frame. If you do want to increase the size, you guys can just drag it and you guys can actually increase the size as well. Okay, so over here, as you guys can see now, this is how you guys can basically work over here. And also, if you just double click and if you just click on one and let's click on enter, this is how it will basically work. Okay, and also here you guys can see under zoom, you guys have the x-axis and the y-axis. So now when I'm changing the x-axis itself, the y-axis is also changing. Okay, so it's scaling down proportionally. Okay, so the width and the height is scaling at the same proportion. If you guys take a look again, here you guys can see the width is also changing. Okay, and the height over here is also changing. If you guys take a great look into my project window or into my project panel. Okay, so if you think, okay, let's come back, and if you want to come here, you guys can just click. Let's say you did some of the changes over here in any of these values, and now you thought, okay, I don't want those changes. I want the default one how it was before. So you don't have to do a lot of things together. Okay, you just need to come here onto the right hand side, just beside this diamond like structure. You do have this particular option. You guys can just click once and it will be back again with its default size. Okay, so you guys can come here, and from here what you guys can do is, let's say now you'd only want to change the y-axis. Okay, you do want to change the width from the side. In that case, what you're going to do is you are going to come here, and there is a chain like structure, okay, which shows that both of these values are linked. And as both of these things are linked, basically what happens is it will change the value altogether. Okay, but now let's say I don't want to change the value of the x-axis. I only want to change the value of the y-axis. Okay, so in that case, I will come here, I will just close this down. And now if I change the y-axis, if you guys take a look, you guys will be able to see that I am not able to change up anything. Okay, and now if you come here, you change the z-axis. Okay, here you guys can see now you are not able to change anything. Again, you guys can come here and you guys can turn on and off this link option. Okay, so let's come here, and again what you guys can do is, if you do want to zoom in and zoom out, you guys can also do that. Okay, so here you guys can see now I do have zoom out this one. And again, if you do want to change the x-axis, you guys can see that you are able to change the x-axis. If you do want to change the y-axis, quite like this, now this is not proportional. So you guys can actually change the proportion of your footage. Okay, and once you're done, what you guys can also do is you guys can position the frame accordingly. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can basically change the proportion the way you like. Okay, so let's say I want to change the x-axis. Okay, the position of the x-axis over here. So what I can do is I can come here, I can just place it over here to the left hand side. As you guys can see, if you do want to position it sideways, you guys can use the x-axis. And if you want to position it on the y-axis, or if you do want to position it from top and down, you guys can come here and you guys can move the y-axis to move top and down. Okay, so let's come here, let me place this thing exactly over here into the center. Okay, and let me tell you that for all the options over here, you do have the reset button. Okay, so over here to the right hand side, you guys can see that you do have this reset option over here. If you want to reset the value individually, you guys can come here and reset the value individually. But let's say you do have changed the whole transformation option. Okay, you do have changed the zoom, you do have changed the position, you do have changed the rotation angle, the pitch, and also the flip. In that case, now you are thinking, okay, I want to change each and everything under my transform option into default. Okay, so individually you don't have to come here and click all of this once. Okay, directly what you guys can do is on top you guys can see there is one icon just beside the transform option. All you need to do is you need to come here and click onto this option, and all will be resetted accordingly. Okay, so this was about the position, the transform option. And now let's say you do have this particular frame, and what you want to do is you do want to give this thing up a rotation. Okay, so if you do want to give this thing up a rotation, let's come here, and here you guys can see I do have a slider. So I can come here and I can basically slide this thing up, and here you guys can see that I am trying to give this one up a rotation. Let's say I will just double click over here and I will just put up a value of 90 degree. Okay, so I do have put up this one a 90 degree over here, and also I want to change only the position of the x-axis. Okay, so I will come here and I will just position this in one side. Let's say if you do want to give other rotation, you guys can come here and now you guys can basically give up other rotation as well. Let's come here, let's put it around 0, and I will just click on enter, and here you guys can see now I don't have any rotation. Let's come and let's just move the position of the x-axis. Okay, let's come here, let's move out the position of the x-axis, and now as you guys can see that I do have given a rotation. But while giving the rotation, if you guys do have noticed that what I'm giving the rotation, it is getting rotated from this particular center. Okay, So the position from where it is giving you a rotation is known as the anchor point, which is my next point. Just underneath the rotation angle, you guys can see that I do have the anchor point option. Okay, let's come here. Let's click on 0. Let's click on enter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to change up the anchor point. Okay, so here also under anchor point, as I have showed you that my anchor point is somewhere over here. Okay, as this was giving a rotation towards this particular place. So what I want to do now is I want to change the anchor point. Okay, so let's come here, let's move the anchor point on the x-axis, and also if you do want to move it on top, you guys can move. Now if you see that if I give a rotation, you guys can see that it is not giving me a rotation from the center. Okay, so here you guys can see the rotation is actually giving me from this particular side. Okay, so again the same way, if I want to come here, let's put on 90, and also x-axis, let's give 90 over here. And now if I give on a rotation, you guys can see it is giving a rotation from this particular end. So you guys can come here and choose the anchor point as well. So I will just click on 0, and on the y-axis also I will just put on 0, and I will just click on enter. Let's give this a rotation of 0 as well. So I will just click on enter over here. Okay, so I hope you guys do have understood this particular 4 parts, okay, about the zoom, position, rotation, and the anchor point. So now next comes the pitch and the yaw. Okay, so if you do want to work on with pitch, here you guys can see using the pitch option, you guys can actually give out some of these 3D options over here. And the wow, it just does the same thing sideways. Okay, so here if you do have any kind of screen, let's say you have a video and over there you do have a screen on the side, or you want to just shape up your video quite realistically in a road or in the walls, you guys basically use this yaw and the pitch option. Okay, so this was about the pitch and the yaw. And next comes the flip option. Okay, so they're asking me that how do I want to flip my image? Okay, do I want to flip it proportionally, okay, or like horizontally, or do I want to do it in a landscape mode? Okay, so let's come here, and here you guys can see I have flipped this particular image. And also if you do want to flip it horizontally, you guys can come here and you guys can flip it accordingly over here as well. Okay, so once you are done, okay, let's say now you do have applied the smart reframing, the cropping option, the dynamic zoom option as well. Okay, so now what you want to do is you just want to turn off the transformation. Okay, you don't want to apply any values over here. Okay, so for that, what you can do is if you just come here and turn it back off, you guys can see that you are back over here again. Okay, so that doesn't mean that the transformation option which I had already put is basically gone. Okay, so if I do want to retrieve them back, I can come here, I can just on the transform option, and you guys can see I do have all of these values back again. Okay, so this was about the transform option. Now let's come here, let's go to this cropping option, and under cropping you guys can see if I come here, let's turn off the transform option. Under cropping, if I do want to crop it from the left hand side, I will come here and I can just crop it from the left hand side over here. If you do want to do it from the right hand side, you guys can come here and basically do this from the right hand side here as well. If you want to do it from top, you guys can come here and do it from top. And if you want to do it from bottom, you guys can come here and do this thing from bottom as well. And also after cropping from all the sides, okay, what you can do is you guys can select the softness towards the edges. Okay, if you guys take a close look onto the sides over here, you guys can see the cut is quite sharp. Okay, but here if the same way, if come here and if I just increase the softness, let's come here, let's just zoom out. Here you guys can see once I have increased the softness, the edge is not that sharp. Okay, so you guys can actually use this option as well according to yourself, the way you like. And also, if you do want to retain the image position, you guys can come here and you guys can just click on to this retain image position, and it will basically retain the position of your image. So for now, I will just turn this back off. And once you have done the cropping, you guys can basically apply the smart reframe. Okay. So this is an AI feature basically by DaVinci Resolve. So let me turn this off again. And from here now, if you do want to do the smart reframing, you guys can come here and you guys can do the smart reframing option. Okay, so totally depends what is the object of interest over here. Okay, so you guys can apply those things right over here. Okay, so this is the smart reframing option, how you want to reframe it. Let's say for that, I will come here and I will just pick out this particular video, which I will just put it over here on top. Okay, and after that, I'll just select this one, and here you guys can see the smart reframe option. Okay, so if you do want to select any reference point using which you want to actually do reframing, okay, so you guys can do that. Otherwise, if you do want to do the auto reframing, it will just try to understand the context of the image by itself, and it will reframe the whole thing all by itself. Okay, so you guys can actually apply all of these things right over here, which is quite an advanced feature in DaVinci. Okay, so after that, what I'm going to do is let's come here. Let's go back again to the video frame one. Let's come here. Let's just delete this video. And again, I will just come here in my video frame one. And once I have applied this one, let's come here and let's try to understand about the dynamic zoom. Okay, so if you come here and if you take this dynamic zoom option, let's come here and let's close this thing down. Okay, so once I do have this dynamic zoom option, you guys can come here and select what is going to be the linear. So do I want it as linear? Okay. Do I want it as ease in? Okay. Do I want it as ease out? How do I want that? Okay. So for that, you guys can come here and you guys can just select the dynamic zoom option as well. Okay. So what it will basically do is here you guys can actually see there are two boxes. Okay, so the first box basically tells you that how you want it to zoom in or zoom out. Okay, so here this is the green box which I have over here. What I want to do is I want to come here. Let's move this one right over here, and I want my video to zoom in accordingly towards this face from this whole frame. If I do want to decrease the frame size as well, I can come here and I can decrease the frame size from here as well. Okay, so I can also choose how I want it. Let's say first I will just put on linear. So now if I just play, here you guys can see it will just zoom out from this particular place. Okay, so you guys can see it will just eventually zoom out, and it totally depends on the duration of the image which you or duration of the video which you have. Let's if I now come here, if I just decrease the duration of my footage which I have right over here, let's come here and let's try to get my playhead. Okay, so I will come here, and what I'm going to do is I am going to move this thing apart. Let's come here. Let's try to move this thing over here on top a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this thing up as well. Okay, so let's come here. Let's bring my playhead over here at the starting. And now here you guys can see it is zooming out quite fast. Okay, so here you guys can see it is zooming out quite fast over here. And the same way under the dynamic zoom, let's say I will just turn it back on again. And now I will just increase the size. And now over here, I will just select this green box over here. So this is the point or the reference point from where it will zoom out. Okay, so let's say I will come here and I will just play this thing up. And this is how it will basically look as I have did the linear. But the same way, if I bring my playhead at the start and I will just select the ease in option. Okay, so here you guys can see the ease in option. And the same way, let's bring my playhead at the start again. If you do want to apply the ease out, okay, let's play. And this is the ease out option. Okay, and lastly, I do have the ease in and the ease out option. Let's play this thing. And this is the ease in and the ease out option right over here. Okay, so that is the usage of the dynamic zoom. And as I've already showed you about cropping and also about the transform option, you guys also do have the same thing over here into this panel as well. Okay, so let me just close this thing down, the inspector panel. And once I've closed down the inspector panel, let's take out this footage. And you do have the transform, the crop option over here as well. So if you do want to crop, you guys can come here, and from here you guys can basically crop down your video footage. And if you do want to transform, you guys can come here and you guys can transform. If you do want to give some rotation, you guys can come here, give this rotation. If you do want to increase the size, you guys can come here and increase those sizes accordingly. Okay, so let's come here, let's go to this inspector panel. And once you're done with the dynamic zoom option, let's come here, let's turn the dynamic zoom option. And now the next option is the composite. Okay, so if you guys are basically familiar with other softwares like Photoshop, okay, so you guys will be able to know about this composite mode. Okay, so to make you understand about that, let's come here, let's bring out this particular image. And what I can do is I can just decrease the timing as well. Okay, so I will come here, and what I'll do is I will come here and let's just scale it down. Okay, so I will just scale it down right over here, and now I will just change its position. Okay, so let's come here, let's just change its position. Let's keep it on to one side. Okay, so sometimes what basically happens is once you're trying to put out any kind of watermark or any kind of scenarios, in that case, what happens is you don't want that particular thing to be visible like 100% the way it is now. So in that case, you guys can actually change the composite mode. So let's say if you can come here and you guys can actually check which one looks better. You guys can see it is basically changing. You guys can come here and use this one, and just you need to make sure that if you do have a video or if you do have any image which is in white color, okay, make sure to use the darken option if you do want to darken those colors. And if you do have a black color, make sure to click onto the add option. Okay, so you guys can come here, check whichever looks good, and you guys can apply that. And once you are happy with the one which you have selected, let's say I am happy with the add option, I can come here and I can just decrease the opacity as well. Okay, so if you are happy with that one, you guys can actually check the opacity as well. Let's keep the opacity at 50% over here. Okay, so I will come here, and what I can do again is I will come here, select this one, right click, and if you do want to copy this one, you guys can come here and copy. Let's come here and let's click on paste. Okay, so I do have pasted that particular thing as well. Let's come here on top. Let's place it right over here into the video frame number 3. Okay, so I will come here, I will just decrease the size from here or this particular end as well. Okay, let's come down from here. Okay, and what you guys can do is you guys can just bring your playhead somewhere over here. Okay, let's come here, let's bring my playhead where I will be able to see both of these things. Okay, so let's come here, let's bring my playhead somewhere over here. Okay, as I do want to see. Okay, so let's come here, let's select this one. And if you do want to move this thing, you guys can come here and you guys can just position or change up the position as well. Okay, so I will come here, let's change the position onto the other side of the frame. Okay, and now this one looks good. Okay, so if I just play this thing around, this is how it looks. Let's select this one and let's increase the size, and also let's select this one, let's increase the size from this end as well. Okay, so now let's come here, let's play this thing up, and this is how it will basically look. And if you don't want to change up the positioning a bit, you guys can come here and change up the positioning a bit as well. Okay, so this was about the composition option. And let's say I will just select up this video, and what I want to do is I want to actually increase the speed and all, okay, which we will be learning later, how you will be able to increase the speed of your video, how you will be able to decrease the speed of your video. Okay, So this is about the speed change option. And also if you do have an unstable video, okay, which actually moves up a lot. And now what you want to do is you just want to uh, stabilize the video. Okay, so in that case, first you guys can actually select the cropping ratio. You guys can select the smoothness and also the strength of the video. Let's come here. Let's click on stabilize, and it is initializing, or it is applying the stabilization over here into my footage. So all I need to do is now wait. So guys, my video has been basically been stabilized. Okay, so if I play now, you guys can see there is a difference. Okay, so you guys can come here, check out the cropping ratio. If you don't want to smoothen it, you guys can do that. And also you guys will be able to select the strength. Okay, so here you guys can also check the lens correction. Okay, if you do want to distort it, you guys can come here and distort the lens over here onto the side. Okay, and if you do want to do it more, you guys can come here and you guys can see how it actually looks. Okay, so you guys can just choose the lens correction, and if you want DaVinci to do the same thing for you, you guys can click on analyze, and the DaVinci AI will basically do this thing for you as well. Okay, and if you do want to come here, if you do want to do the retiming and scaling, okay, if you do want to resize any kind of filter, you guys can do that. And lastly, you do have the super scaling option. Okay, if you do want to super scale, like this particular footage, you want to actually enhance its size by twice. Okay, so in that case, if you just turn the super scale option on here, if you do want to do the 4x, you guys can come here, increase these options. And if you do want to increase the noise reduction as well, you guys can actually do all these things right over here. Okay, so I will come here, and for now I will turn this back off again. And now let's play this thing up. Okay, so let's come here, let's click on to my space bar. Okay, and let's just try to play this thing up accordingly. Okay, so if you come here, if you want to play it, you guys can come here and play this thing up as well. Okay, so over here, I do think that you guys have understood this class on how you will be able to change the composition, and over here how you'll be able to change the transform option, the cropping, dynamic zoom, the stabilization, and time and rescaling. Okay, so these are the inspection options in DaVinci Resolve. Okay, so I think you guys have understood. And here, if you have any video which have an audio also, you guys can see that here you do have the audio editing options. If you do have any kind of effects, which we will learn later into our classes, and in next class we're learning about transition. And let's say you do have an image, you guys will be able to come here and change the properties of your image itself. Okay, so this is how you guys will be able to work right over here. Okay, so if you come here, let's say, let's go back, or let's just come here and let's just decrease the size. Okay, so you guys can come here, and if you do want to decrease the size, you guys can come here and decrease it accordingly. Okay, so this was about the inspector panel. If you do want to see more information about the footage, you guys can come here, go to this file option, and check out the information about this particular footage as well. Okay, so let's come here, let's just close this thing down quite over here. Let's come and let's decrease the size. Let's try to reset this particular UI. Go to workspace, and from here, if you click on reset UI, you guys can see I do have resetted the UI which I had worked on. Okay, so if you do want to do the same thing, let's come here, let's just decrease the space over here, and you guys can see I do have this particular footage. Okay, and over here, if you do want to decrease the video footage number 3, you guys can come here and you guys can just do that over here as well. Okay, so this was before. Okay, let's come here, let's increase it a bit. So if you want to see, so let's just come here, let's take this footage, and if I just play this one, this is how the original footage is. And now if you do want to see this footage, let's come here, let's just play this. This is how it actually looks. Okay, so here you guys can see there is a lot of difference. So yeah, I hope to see you all in the next chapter, where we will be learning about transitions in DaVinci Resolve. So see you all in the next chapter. Till then, take care and goodbye everyone.